Why buy a cat food recipe when there are free recipes online? What about bacteria and pathogens in raw food? What about too much iodine in kelp? What about vitamin A toxicity from too much liver? My cats are so picky. What if my cats don't eat it? Well, hate to break it to you, but all cats. Hey friends, it's Jess, Griffin, Gracie, Ash, and Charlie, and some recipe FAQs that you might have. Why buy a cat food recipe when there are free recipes online? So I definitely suggest using a free recipe that you can find online as long as it's complete and balanced for your cat's life stage. That's great for beginners because a lot of them are very easy, but they do rely on a lot of supplements. So just keep that in mind that you're going to buy these supplements for that specific free recipe, but then in the future, if you buy one of my recipes or a different recipe, they might not use the same supplements. For example, I do not use a lot of the same supplements that free recipes online use. So just keep that in mind because when we're using supplements, it's a very, very, very tiny amount. And when we're buying supplements, it's a very, very large amount. So one big bottle of nutritional yeast, for example, one big bag, that could probably last you a whole year. So you just want to make sure that those supplements that you're buying, with whatever recipe you're using, you're going to stick with those supplements. For example, in my recipes, I use the same supplements for every single recipe just to make it easy. I'd also suggest if you're going to use a free recipe online, contact the creator of that recipe and ask for a nutritional analysis just to make sure whether it's AAFCO, NRC, or FEDIAF. AAFCO is for the US, NRC is also in the US, but pet food manufacturers follow AAFCO in the US, and then FEDIAF is for the European Union. My cats are so picky. What if my cats don't eat it? Well, hate to break it to you, but all cats are picky about food changes. This is a natural instinct that's ingrained in all cats. Some cats do take to new food very easily and very eagerly, but regardless of the situation, whether your cat's picky or whether your cat is happy about eating it, we still want to transition to new foods very slowly. So the cat system gets used to digesting the same foods. So when we introduce new foods, we don't want to do it too quickly because that can cause some GI problems, maybe even bring the food back up or diarrhea, regardless of the new food's quality. This is just a digestive issue. It's not a food issue. So we want to introduce new foods very gradually and very slowly. And that's the whole point of my transition plan in my ebook. And I do have a bundle where you can get the ebook and all 6 boneless recipes, the ebook and all 3 raw meaty bones recipes, or the ebook and all 9 recipes if you want to go for a lot of variety. Can I use fresh or freeze-dried meats? So I would say it's okay here and there to use freeze-dried raw as long as you rehydrate it with water because, at the end of the day, there are freeze-dried raw foods available. But in the long term, it isn't ideal. We want to make sure that we're using the freshest ingredients possible. That's the whole point of feeding homemade, right? We want to ditch process because technically, even though it's freeze-dried raw, it's still going through that extra process of removing the moisture. So we just want to make sure that we're feeding the best that we possibly can. I understand that green tripe is stinky, but a little tip here is if you portion it out when it's still slightly frozen, it doesn't smell at all. Can I substitute the ingredient and the amount in my specific recipes? No. The recipes are complete as is. The amounts and the ingredients and the specific brands of supplements that I use. And I use those specific supplements because they actually provide a nutritional analysis of their product. Are the supplements necessary? Yes, they are. I completed the recipes to AAFCO, NRC, and FEDIAF guidelines based on the exact supplements and the exact ingredients that I use. What if I can't find bone-in salmon or sardines? It's all right if you use boneless. I know a lot of canned salmon is typically boneless. As long as it's canned in water and there's no added salt, you should be fine. We're not using the bones. We're not relying on the bones in the salmon and sardines for the calcium content. We're really just relying on the fish for the vitamin D. Why do you use Better Bones supplement if it's intended for dogs. So it is marketed towards dogs because the company itself makes dog food supplements, but the only ingredient is freeze-dried beef bone powder. And that's okay for cats as well. It's just that they market their products to dogs and they are registered as dog food supplements. The instructions on the label are for dogs as well. So think about it like this. If we're buying a supplement that's meant for humans, you might reach out to them and they might say, it's safe to give to your cats, but we don't make cat food supplements. They're intended for humans. The instructions on the label are for humans, right? So we wouldn't use the dose that's on the label for humans for our cats, just like we wouldn't use the dose on the dog food supplement for our cats. I use it because they actually clarify that it's bone from beef instead of just saying bone meal. It is freeze-dried beef bone powder. And they also provide more than just the protein amount. They include the calcium, the phosphorus, magnesium. So I put this into the formulation software, and that's what I use to balance the calcium to phosphorus ratio using that bone powder, just because I prefer that and they're clear about the ingredients that they're using. What about too much iodine in kelp? I'm just over the minimum amount for iodine in all of my recipes, and there is a nutritional analysis included when you buy my recipes. Now, I've heard people that say use iodized salt, but iodized salt is very, very much processed, and again, we're trying to remove as many processes from the food as possible, right? That's why we're making homemade cat food. With iodized salt, it's stripped of all the minerals, it's bleached, it's heated, and they add synthetic iodine. And in a lot of cases, the synthetic version is much more bioavailable than the organic or natural version. So either way, you might run into some issues. Now, of course, when we're using kelp, it's a whole food, it's natural, and every batch, it might not be guaranteed the iodine amount, but that's why we use very, 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 very tiny, tiny amount. Like if you were to make one day from my recipes, I don't even give you an amount in teaspoons, it's in grams. That's how small it is. Where do I buy the supplements? So in my recipes specifically, the supplements are only available in the United States and in Canada. For Canadian residents, I highly suggest that you research the cost of the shipping before you buy the recipe. That way you know that you're on board 100%, because again, there are no ingredient substitutions, and that includes with the supplements as well. Now, you can get all of the supplements in the US on Amazon, or you can also buy from iHerb. They have the nutritional yeast, they have the kelp blend, and they have the Now Vitamin E oil. They ship to the US and Canada. Amazon Canada, they sell the wheatgrass, kelp, freeze-dried green beef tripe, and the nutritional yeast. Or if you want to buy directly from their website, some of them do ship to Canada. But again, please check the shipping cost before you buy the recipe, because I don't want you to buy the recipe and then find out that the supplements are too expensive to ship. The other tip that I have here is that typically if a company has a minimum for free shipping, I will buy the supplements in bulk to that minimum amount, so that because I'll let you know, I actually eat the same supplements that I give to Jericho. So it makes sense for me, because even though I only have one cat, I'm eating the supplements too, so I go through them quicker. But this might be the case if you have multiple cats that you're feeding too. So just do the maths to see if the shipping is worth it to you if you can't get it on Amazon or another retailer. What about vitamin A toxicity from too much liver? So I included liver mainly in all of my recipes just because when I did a survey among my email newsletter, liver was one of the only secreting organs that everybody had access to. Even my mom, for example, she couldn't find kidney anywhere. She even had trouble finding heart. So I didn't want to use ingredients that people can't get. And it's difficult for me to know, where everybody lives and what people have access to, what they want to buy, etc. When it comes to vitamin A, I made sure that all of my recipes are well below the maximum safe upper limit. So the safe upper limit is very high, and all of my recipes are very much lower than that. They meet the minimum requirements, they're over the minimum requirements, but they're very much under the maximum safe upper limit as well. Can I feed one recipe long term? I would say start out with one recipe, introduce one recipe at a time, but you definitely don't want to rely on just one protein at a time. Some of my recipes do have a variety of proteins, so if you want to go right off the bat, if your cat's already eating chicken, turkey, and beef, then you can buy the chicken, turkey, beef recipe, and you're going to have a lot of variety there. But it's also important to introduce variety in the cuts of meat, not just the protein. So for example, chicken heart is very different than beef heart. Turkey heart is different than lamb heart, for example. So you do want to feed and rotate those proteins as well as the different cuts that you're using. And I would also suggest gradually introducing the raw meaty bones as well. Can I feed mixed proteins in one meal? So some people have said this to me and some people have asked. I mean, cats in the wild, they eat between 5 to 7 proteins to complete their diet, and they aren't going to say to themselves, oh, I just ate a mouse, I can't eat that rat, can't mix proteins. So, I mean, I don't really think that that makes sense. I would say again, as long as you're introducing one new thing at a time, it's completely fine to feed multiple different proteins in one meal. That's how I feed Jericho. That's how my mom's 4 cats ate these recipes as well. And Jericho doesn't have any digestive issues. His poops are normal. And so, I mean, really, you just have to track based on your individual cat. But generally across the board, as long as you're introducing very, very slowly, you shouldn't have any issues with feeding multiple proteins at once. Do you have chicken-free recipes? Yes, I do. I have 2 recipes that are completely chicken-free, and they do not include eggs either. And the bone replacement supplement that's used in the recipe is derived from beef bones. So there is a beef and turkey, which is boneless, and a lamb, turkey, and beef that is boneless. And if you're looking for a chicken meat-free recipe, but your cat can have chicken egg yolks, then I also have a turkey and salmon, which is boneless as well. What if I don't have a grinder for bones? Well, then you are in luck because 6 of my recipes are completely boneless. So they use a bone replacement supplement powder instead of whole raw meaty bones. And if you want to feed raw bones to your cats and you don't have a grinder, then just feed whole raw bones to your cats. Just gradually work your way up to it. Start with the wing tip, and then you can go up to the flat and the drum. For the wings, my recipes use chicken wings only. For the boneless recipes, I have beef and turkey, lamb, turkey and beef, turkey and salmon, turkey, chicken and beef, chicken and salmon, and chicken and beef. For the raw meaty bones recipes, I have beef, chicken and turkey, chicken and beef, and chicken and salmon. What about bacteria and pathogens in raw food? So we're going to practice the same food safety that we do when we prepare raw meat for ourselves. Maybe you personally don't eat raw meat, but thank you for treating your cat as a carnivore and being interested in feeding your cat as a carnivore. So for general advice, buy your meat ingredients from clean, trustworthy sources. Practice proper food safety hygiene when prepping and serving food. Wash your hands, all utensils, the countertop, and wash your hands after you clean the litter box. Pretty easy. There's some veterinary advice that we have from survey results. Don't mix dry food with raw because most cat parents in this survey that fed raw and kibble did not clean up properly. So a lot of people that feed dry food, they just throw it in the bowl, top it off when it gets empty, but we're supposed to be cleaning our dishes after each meal because all types of food are at risk for bacteria, not just raw. Dry food is also at risk for growing bacteria because it is food. It's not appropriate food, but it's food at the end of the day. Next, feed a variety of proteins. They found in this survey that the more proteins cat parents fed, the more experienced they were and the more likely they were to practice food safety and hygiene. And they also said to prepare raw cat food in the same area, using the same utensils, the same cutting board, the same bowls, the same containers that you do with your own food. Because if we think about it, the more areas that we involve, the more containers and utensils that we involve, we're doubling the amount that we have to clean. So use the same countertop. That's what I do. I put down a food grade silicone mat and then put everything on top of that. Then when I'm done, just pick everything up, bring it to the sink. Wash it with soap and hot water. Done. Very easy. And just to give you some more confidence, the veterinary conclusion from the survey results confirm that pathogen transmission from raw diets to humans appears to be rare. We conclude that potential or probable causes of pathogen transmission is likely dependent upon hygiene and food safety measures, and more education surrounding food safety should reduce risk. Additionally, the FDA says that salmonellosis is rare in cats and dogs. It's uncommon in cats and dogs. Typically, when the issue happens, it's because the human does not prepare something properly. The human does not wash up afterwards properly. It's not the food's fault. It's not the cat's fault. How do I make homemade cat food? It's very easy. Just like you would with your own food, you choose a recipe, buy the ingredients, meal prep, portion, and serve. I have an entire video that covers this from start to finish. I will put that link in the description below. Where can I buy your recipes? Check the description and the pinned comments. You can buy the recipes individually, and I also have a lot of bundle and save options. So if you want to get the biggest bundle, you can even get some recipes, my ebook, and my binders, my cat care binders for free. I have printable, I have digital, and I have Notion, which I'm super excited about. So check the description, check the pinned comments, and let me know if you have any additional questions. Thanks for watching.